Chiefs in the AFC, the 6-seeded Washington Commanders and the 1-seeded Detroit Lions in the NFC, the 4-seeded LA Rams and the 2-seeded Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC. And finally, we wrapped up the weekend with a matchup between the 3-seeded Baltimore Ravens and 2-seeded Buffalo Bills in the AFC. So, we're going to go in order of events and start off with the first matchup between the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs. In the end of this game, we find ourselves viewing yet another Kansas City victory. They'll be heading to yet another AFC Championship game, winning this bout against the Texans with a final score of 23-14. As far as our game leaders go, we have CJ Stroud in this game, passing 19 of 28 attempts for 245 yards. We've got Joe Mixon with 18 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. And we have Nico Collins hauling in 5 passes for 81 yards. As for the Chiefs, we have 16 of 25 passing from Patrick Mahomes for 177 yards and a touchdown. In the rushing game, you've got Kareem Hunt with 8 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown. And then finally, in the receiving game, you've got Travis Kelce with 7 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. Now, when it comes to team stats, the Texans actually led in total yardage, 336 to Kansas City's 212. Neither team had any turnovers. And so you might be wondering, how did the Texans lose this game, having more yards and having no turnovers? Seems like they probably did a lot right. Well, it came mostly down to 3 things. Number 1 being the offensive line, number 2 being Kaimi Fairbairn, and number 3 being the officiating in the game. Those are probably the 3 most important factors in this Houston Texans loss. And to really get an understanding of how this game played out, let's go through the game progression. So you start off the game with a giant run back by Kansas City. They receive the opening kickoff. They get like a 55-yard return, and they get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty to tack on at the end of it. So they're already in a brilliant position. The Texans defense does a mighty fine job of stopping them, forcing a 3-and-out essentially, but since they're already in field goal range, they get to put 3 points up on the board. Now the Texans strike back with their own field goal drive, so the game is tied up at 3-3. Now here is we get the first of our 2 to maybe 3 plays in which a lot of people have a problem with the officiating, myself included. Here is a drive that starts off with 2 plays that don't go for that much yardage, and then it's 3rd and 8, and Patrick Mahomes throws a ball deep down the field for Travis Kelce. It's incomplete, but the referees throw a flag on Will Anderson Jr. for roughing the passer. Now if you take a look at this play, you'll notice that Will Anderson Jr. runs up to Patrick Mahomes, reaches him maybe half a second after the pass has been released, has left his hands. He doesn't drive him to the ground. He doesn't even wrap him up. He simply pushes on him a little bit, doesn't knock him down, and their face masks make incidental contact. And the referee calls this roughing the passer for forcible contact to the head and neck area. I don't buy it. I have sneezed with more, forcible contact than that. I have had more forcible sneezes in my lifetime than what Patrick Mahomes' head injury could have been on that play. This is bogus. Definitely a bogus call. I don't think that this is game-changing, but it did allow the Chiefs to drive down the field. They would have had to punt in that situation. Instead, they get a new set of downs, and they get to go all the way down the field and add 3 more points to the board. Now, coming up on this, you have the Texans and Chiefs trading punting drives. Then you have the Texans driving down into field goal range, and Kaimi Fairbairn missing his first kick of the day, a 55-yarder. No one's going to blame him for that, really, but it is unfortunate for the Texans. Then Chiefs take over. They get a touchdown of their own. This is one with a giant catch and play from Travis Kelce. I think it was like a 55-yard catch and run, and kind of showing his age, not being able to take that one to the house. He definitely has lost a little bit of speed. And then finally, you've got the Texans with a field goal drive, making this a 13-6 game heading into halftime. Coming out of the half, you have the Texans getting the ball, driving down the field, and scoring their first touchdown. But Kaimi Fairbairn misses his second kick of the day, making it 12-13. So the Texans still trail by a point rather than being able to tie up the game. Now, it's on this next drive that people really start to get upset with the officiating in this game, and for good reason. You have the Chiefs picking up their first down, and then on their next first down play, oops, I have to turn off Discord once again. Never remember to do that. But yeah, on the Chiefs' next drive, it's first down. Patrick Mahomes bobbles the snap, loses a couple yards, then picks up the snap and starts running around kind of frantically, kind of aimlessly, looking for blockers, trying to get as much yardage as he can. He has been running for maybe 6-7 seconds, and at the end of this play, he doesn't even try and go forward. He's literally kind of going to the side and decides, I think this is a good point where I need to sit down and I need to stop trying to run around. And so two Houston Texans try and tackle him, and they both collide over Patrick Mahomes. You have Patrick Mahomes doing whatever the heck this fake side slide is. First of all, if you're going to slide, I think it should be a rule that it has to be forward. You should not be allowed to slide to the side if you're not running straight forward. Is it really a slide, or are you just laying down? Anyway, they basically run into each other. You have two Houston Texans running directly into each other, helmet to helmet, over Patrick Mahomes, and they call it unnecessary roughness. And I think everyone is most livid with this call, because this call is dumb. It is a dumb call. You've got Troy Aikman tearing into the referees after this one, because it's just not football at this point. You can't claim that this is tackle football and treat Patrick Mahomes like he is a flag football player. If we're going to be playing tackle football, you can't have 21 guys on the field playing tackle and Patrick Mahomes somehow gets little kid calls like he's playing youth league or something like that. It's insane. It's quite frankly gross to watch. And I'm not saying that he's the only quarterback to have benefited from something like this, or it's necessarily his fault. I don't think that the roughing the passer call is anything that's his fault, but this right here is something that's in his control. This is ruining the sport. You can't just run around aimlessly and then decide, I'm gonna try and slide here, and then benefit, get 15 yards tacked on to the end of the run because you had a late slide. There needs to be some sort of repercussion. If you're going to slide that late, you shouldn't get any protection. It has to be a forward slide at like a good speed. What he does in this play is literally like he's running around like a chicken with no head, and then he gets 15 yards for free. Along with that, I think there should be different penalties that the referees can hand out. I don't understand why we have to limit them to just these big ones. Like, either make it reviewable, make it challengeable, or institute a new penalty that is worth less, because this is egregious. This is an egregious penalty to give out multiple times in the game. Roughing the passer. Implement a running into the passer if you need to. I know it sounds stupid, but it's still less bad than giving 15 yards and a free set of downs for someone that is dinking the quarterback on a pass rush. Like, what are you supposed to do? Not touch the quarterback? Is he supposed to use the force to put Mahomes on the ground on a pillow? Like, what are we doing here? And I think the worst part about all of this is Patrick Mahomes towards the end of this next drive. He flops very evidently. he runs up the side of the field, and as soon as he is met inbounds with contact, he gives himself up. Like, he stops trying to run. He just, like, folds like a pretzel and then tries to draw a flag. And if we're going to have flopping in the NFL, we need to have offensive foul flopping penalties. There should be some sort of monetary penalty along with an in-game penalty for that kind of flopping behavior, because it's disgusting. It's just not good. It's not good for the sport. In basketball, you have all these rules instituted to get players to stop, diluting or ruining the game. You have the offensive foul called for extending your leg on a three-point shot in an unnatural way, because that, if you're not actually trying to land normally, then you're obstructing your defender's ability to defend you. And then you have that rule where offensive players used to jump into their defenders. They used to, in midair, change directions completely to throw off their defender and get free throws rather than actually try and make a shot. They're not actually being fouled, they're just foul baiting. And I think the NBA saw that and they created new fouls to eliminate that from the game so that the game can be played how the game is meant to be played. And I think you need to do the same thing here, because like the fake slides, the late slides, and the flopping in this game in particular on the biggest of stages makes the game hard to watch. And the referees, they need more accountability and they need more reviewability, I suppose. If they can't get their job done right on the first attempt, that's fine. Make it reviewable. Make big fouls. Any foul that's going to give an automatic first down, make it reviewable. How about that? I don't know. I think that something like that should go to booth review if it's going to have that big of an impact in a game. Just my 2 cents. But anywho, after that you've got the Chiefs going up 20-12 over the Texans. The Texans, they get the ball back and they make a very silly decision. With 10 minutes left, they go for it 4th and 10 on the 40-yard line. They could have gone for like a 57-yard field goal, and I understand why they didn't do that. But in a game where you're down 1 score and there's 10 minutes left, I think that 4th and 10 is kind of a dumb idea. I would punt it. Personally, I would punt that ball. And yeah, they don't convert. CJ Stroud gets sacked. And then you've got the Chiefs not able to do much, but the Texans aren't able to do much either. Chiefs get another field goal to extend this to an 11-point lead, 23-12. And there's only, 3 minutes left? 4.5 minutes left at this point. Texans get the ball back. They try their best to set up their first score. They get into field goal range. They're basically in the red zone. And now, on a critical 3rd down play to try and make this game exciting at the end, CJ Stroud gets sacked. Not only does he get sacked, but he gets injured. So now you can't go for the 4th and 11. They bring out Kaimi Fairbairn again, and the kick gets blocked. So another one of those games where it's like, it's kind of the perfect epitome of a Chiefs game this season, where there are a handful of controversial penalties, very questionable officiating, and then just inexplicable lack of execution by the other team, and like unforced errors, and they just implode on themselves. And then the ending of this game was kind of weird as well. You've got the Chiefs blowing the confetti with a minute and a half left in the game. They don't even have the means to run out the clock. So then they bring out their punter with 15 seconds left. The punter runs straight out of the back of the end zone at full speed. There's still 8 seconds left on the clock. They gave up a safety, and then they kicked the ball off. I don't know what it was supposed to be. I don't know what kind of strategy they were employing, but it kind of just seemed like bad manners. It kind of seemed like a distasteful move. Or maybe it was just poorly executed, but you didn't run out the clock, and you had to kick it anyway, so I don't know why you wouldn't have just punted it initially. And yeah, all in all, though the Texans tried, they did allow CJ Stroud to get sacked 8 times, 3 times driven by George Karlaftis. Travis Kelce turned up big in this game, having many big catches. So I'd say Karlaftis and Kelce are the players of the game for the Chiefs. For the Texans, you tried the best that you could, but like really, you were playing against 12 men on the field. I would have to agree with Will Anderson Jr. Some of the officiating in this game was just downright despicable, and I don't think that the NFL is rigged per se, but I do think that it was bad, and it was definitely in favor of the Chiefs, and it was very clear and evident. You have Troy Aikman, Hall of Fame quarterback, talking about how the game is being ruined by officiating as poor as this, and I think there has to be some layer of accountability. So, yeah, that is that for our first game. Our second game of the weekend was between the Washington Commanders and the Detroit Lions, and I think this was a result that shocked everyone. You've got the Washington Commanders getting the big road upset over the Lions, winning this game 45-31. In this game, we've got Jaden Daniels going 22 of 31 on passing attempts for 299 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brian Robinson Jr. gets 15 carries for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. And leading the way for the wide receiver group, we have De'Ami Brown with 6 catches for 98 yards. As for the Lions, you've got Jared Goff with 23 of 40 passing for 313 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Then Jahmyr Gibbs with 14 carries for 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Amon-Ra St. Brown with 8 catches for 137 yards. And yet again, this is a game in which the team with a little less amount of total yards was able to win it. You've got Washington with 481 yards to Detroit's 521. That accounts for over 1,000 yards of offense in this game, and man, it was magnificent. I hope you did get to catch this game, because this one was so much fun to watch. One of the biggest upsets in recent memory that I can recall. Obviously, you have the upset last year between the Packers and the Cowboys, but I think this one is different, just with the expectations for Detroit to be making the Super Bowl. The year that they had this year, the year they had last year, and the Commanders with the turnaround they had from last season to this season. Such a shocking result. And let's go through it in the play-by-play. We've got early on, not the best offense from either team in the first quarter. Lions start with a 3-and-out. Then you've got Washington driving down the field and then deciding to go for it on 4th and 1. But they run a trick play and it doesn't quite work out. It involves a Marcus Mariota fake quarterback sneak with a pitch back to Jaden Daniels, and he's supposed to run, but Mariota gets wrapped up. He can never pitch the ball, so the Lions take over. They get their first touchdown, and then Washington responds with a field goal. Then, a big reason why the Lions lost this game, pretty much the only reason the Lions lost this game, in my opinion, well, I guess one of two things: not being able to take the Commanders off the field on 4th down and the turnovers. So, yeah. Then Commanders respond with a field goal of their own. Then we have the first of a plethora of Detroit Lions mistakes with the fumble. Jared Goff gets strip sacked, the ball comes out, and the Commanders take over. So then they charge down the field. They get their first touchdown of the game, actually, to take a 10-7 lead over Detroit. At this point, nothing all that bad, and this is where the game really takes off in the second quarter. In the second quarter, Washington manages to score 28 points and Detroit scores 14. The combined 42 points scored in the second quarter of this game are the most ever for a single quarter in NFL history, so it's just pandemonium. So, as I said, after the fumble, Washington scores their first. Then you've got Detroit scoring I think this was a play with a large... No, it was just good ball movement. So Detroit takes the lead back, 14-10. Washington gets the ball back. They have a large catch and run by Terry McLaurin, 58 yards for a touchdown. They take the lead 17-14. And then you've got the second big Detroit Lions mistake. Jared Goff on second down airs a ball way over Tim Patrick's head, straight into the arms of a Washington Commanders defender. They run it back all the way into the end zone, and one second. And on the return, you've got Jared Goff getting blasted, and yeah, it's not a great sight if you're a Lions fan, because he starts going into the blue medical tent, and so lots of people concerned at this point, obviously, about what's going to happen with the Lions. They're now at home, down 10 to the Commanders. Jared Goff is hurt. Is this it? Is this over? But then Teddy Bridgewater comes out, gets a pass to Jameson Williams, and he runs all down the field. What was it, like 50, 60-yard touchdown? 61 yards. Yeah, it was pretty magnificent. It was quite a nice play. And then, Washington gets the ball back. They scored yet another touchdown. So even though it became a 24-21 game, Washington extends their lead to 10 once again, 31-21. And then Jared Goff re-enters. He takes over for the Lions, which is a great side. They get a good drive going. They go all the way down the field. And with 30 seconds left in the half, they are in field goal position. They're trying to get the touchdown, and Goff just forces it into the end zone a little too early, targeting Jameson Williams, but the defender undercuts the route, takes it right out of his face. And you've got the Commanders preventing another score by the Lions, and that was, of all the first half mistakes, they just keep getting worse. The fumble wasn't that costly, and it's not really Goff's fault. The second one was really bad. Obviously giving the opposing team 7 points directly, getting Jared Goff hurt, that was a bad play. And then the last one, you have some momentum going into half. You think, let's get back into this game, knowing that the Commanders get the second half kickoff. Let's do something. Let's get revitalized. Make it a 4-point game, or make it a 3-point game or a 7-point game. Let's get something, and then you just throw that opportunity away. In the second half, you've got the Lions getting their first stop on Washington, forcing their first punt of the game. Lions are able to score on their next drive. It's 31-28. But then Washington is able to score right back, and this one was probably a game-breaking one, just because it's 31-28. Washington goes for it on fourth down. They get a scramble with Jaden Daniels, and they're able to keep the drive going in the red zone. Then you get a stop. You get another stop. It's now 4th and 3 at the goal line, I want to say. And the Lions defense is out there. The Commanders are going to go for it again, obviously, and you have the chance to really take this game back. But before the play can even happen, Detroit gets called for 12 men on the field on defense, and it's not like one guy was even trying to run out. It was just a very bad miscommunication. They had 12 guys on the field all lined up to actually play that snap, and so Washington gets a free set of downs, and they score. So now it's 38-28 again, and there's how much time? At this point, there's 13 and a half minutes left in the game, so it's still doable. There's practically a whole quarter left. You're down 10. You just need to get 2 scores and a stop. It's not that bad. But then you've got a trick play gone wrong with Jameson Williams throwing the ball. Some sort of end-around trick play. Jameson Williams supposed to throw to Jahmyr Gibbs. The throw is not there. He throws it anyway, and it gets picked off very easily. And it's one of those things where you have to have more common sense as a wide receiver. You are not the quarterback. I understand it can be fun that you have this play drawn up for you, But if the throw is not there, don't throw it, man. Just throw it out of bounds. We saw Keenan Allen make the same mistake like a couple weeks ago for the Chicago Bears, where it's a trick play. You want to throw it down the field, but if the throw is not wide open, you are not talented enough to get the ball where it needs to be 9 times out of 10. And so, yeah, with that, I'd say that's really it for the Lions, because Washington takes over, they score another touchdown. You're now down 17 points with only a handful of time left. It's not really doable. If it was 16 points, maybe I would say something. But 7.5 minutes, 17 points, that's 3 scores. It's a 3-score game. And you haven't been able to stop Washington more than once in this game. It's over. Lions, they get a field goal. Washington misses a field goal after that. It's a 2-score game with 2.5 minutes, but there's no timeouts left. The Lions spend 2 minutes getting down into touchdown range. They're in the red zone once again. And then Jared Goff throws another pick, and the game is over. So, yeah, in what was a really, really promising season for the Lions, their best ever in franchise history, it comes to a screeching halt. 5 turnovers in this game. 1 really critical 12 men on the field penalty. And I think that's the difference in this game. Obviously, both teams ultra aggressive. You've got the Commanders going for it 4 times on 4th down. They convert 3 of 4. The Lions go for it twice. They go 2 of 2. But I will say that Dan Quinn did out Dan Campbell. He was very aggressive. He got the best of his opponent. And yeah, just too many mistakes from Jared Goff, from Jameson Williams. It was too many critical turnovers that they couldn't bounce back from. And Washington played a great game, great passing, great rushing. Both teams offensively were pretty phenomenal. It's just one team played a lot cleaner than the other, and that was the deciding difference. So, congratulations to Washington. You head to your first NFC Championship game in like 50 or 90 years, something crazy. And the Lions, the Super Bowl is still going to have to wait for you guys. Fantastic year, but huge upset at home here. Obviously, a fan base has got to be very disappointed. And yeah, now you lose Ben Johnson as your offensive coordinator to the head coaching position of the Bears, and that's got to sting for him to go to a divisional rival knowing you'll have to play him twice a year. Obviously, it's the Bears, so you're probably not that worried, but it still does suck. And yeah, with that, we can move into our third matchup of the weekend. This was the matchup between the LA Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. A very pretty game. Snow games in the playoffs are always a nice touch. It's like a little gift, a little treat. And this was a snow game for the ages. You've got the Philadelphia Eagles topping the LA Rams 28-20 in this matchup. It's kind of everything that you want out of a playoff game, in my opinion. Here we have Matthew Stafford going 26 for 44 for 324 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams with 19 carries for 106 yards, and Puka Nacua with 6 receptions for 97 yards. Jalen Hurts for the Eagles had 15 of 20 passing for 128 yards. Saquon Barkley with 26 carries for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Dallas Goedert with 4 catches for 56 yards, leading the receiver group for the Eagles. And then we have our third game in a row in which the team with the most yards was not the one that won. We've got the Rams with 402 total yards to the Eagles 350. And yeah, let's go through this game, understand why the Rams lost. It's going to be somewhat similar to the Lions. Not really as bad, but when it comes down to it, I think the only reason that the Rams lost this game was the turnovers. Everything else that they did with they were in it right until the end, until they started turning the ball over, and that's when the game got away from them. But to take you through it, on the first first drive of the game, the Eagles get the ball. You've got a long touchdown run by Jalen Hurts, and then Jake Elliott misses the extra point. Then the Rams take over. They get a big constructed drive, go down the field, score a touchdown of their own to make it 7-6 in favor of the Rams. Then the two teams trade punts, and then we have our first really big Saquon Barkley rush of the game. Obviously, this was going to happen at some point or another, and we see his breakaway speed. We see him barely get touched at the line of scrimmage. Just 1-2 cuts and he's gone. So big touchdown run for Saquon, and that gives Philadelphia the 13-7 lead. The Rams, they score a field goal on their next drive to make it 13-10. And yeah, then we head into halftime. Then, coming out of halftime, the Rams get the opening kickoff. They punt the ball. The Eagles, they also have a 3-and-out. Then we see another LA Rams field goal. Makes the game 13-13, all tied up in the third quarter. The Eagles get a field goal of their own at this point. Give the ball back to the Rams, who aren't able to do much. They get a 3-and-out. But on the following drive, the Eagles push deep into their own territory. You've got Jalen Hurts getting sacked in the end zone, resulting in a LA Rams safety. So now it is 16-15, a 1-point game. And with the safety, the Rams get possession of the ball. So this spells bad news for Philadelphia. The tides are swinging, and heading into the fourth quarter, it looks like the Rams have a great opportunity to get ahead in this game. But 2 plays into this drive, Kyren Williams fumbles the football, and the Eagles take over in pretty good field, in pretty good range. So the Eagles, they run a couple plays, not able to get much yardage, but because they were set up so well, they kick a field goal to take a 4-point lead over the Rams. The Rams get the ball back, only down 4, and they're trying to shake off the jitters of that last drive. It's like, okay, let's go down the field. Let's make this game a little more competitive. And then Matthew Stafford fumbles the football again. So back-to-back drives, they have back-to-back fumbles, and this game is absolutely getting away from them. And once again, the Eagles take over. They get a little bit of yardage, but they ultimately settle for a field goal. So it's 22-15, only down 7. It's not that bad. It's really could be worse. So there's 6 minutes left in this game. All the Rams have to do is pick up a couple first downs and go get some points. Doesn't seem like a horrible situation to be in, but Matthew Stafford gets sacked on first down. Then the Rams can't really make up the yardage, and they have to punt, essentially. So the Eagles get the ball back. It's 15-22 at this point. 1 play into this drive, Saquon Barkley takes the ball, cuts once, and goes like 70 yards, practically untouched. Second big touchdown run from Saquon. Before he even gets to the end zone, he is like slamming his helmet in joy. And Philadelphia is going crazy. They have a 28-15 lead with 4.5 minutes left. Game obviously looks like it's in the bag at this point. And all of a sudden, the Rams switch to their no-huddle offense, and they move the ball like nobody's business. Like, first down, just charging down the field. They get into the end zone on a Colby Parkinson touchdown, and there's still 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in this game. And now, there is some hope. It's like, okay, maybe the Rams actually can do something. Maybe this game isn't over. Obviously down 13 points with 4.5 minutes, you don't expect someone to be able to do all that much. But there's a possibility. So how will the Eagles respond? Well, they get the ball, and they get a 3-and-out, a very quick 3-and-out. It doesn't even hit the 2-minute warning, and they have already found themselves off the field. So the Rams get the ball with 2 minutes and change, with a chance to take the lead, down 6. 6, you have to get a touchdown, and if you do get that touchdown, odds are you're going for the extra point, and you're going to maybe win this game. So, Bukanagui has been quiet all game. He whips out one of the best catches I've ever seen him make in a snowy game where he has dropped balls, where a lot of receivers haven't been able to catch the ball. You can't even see the field. The field is so snowy. He comes down with like a 38-yard pass, gets both feet in, and it's just acrobatics. It's pure acrobatics. I don't know how he hauled that in and got his feet in, but it is a terrific catch. And it sets up the Rams pretty nicely close to the end zone. At this point, the Rams are in the red zone. There's, 30 seconds left in the game, and it's down to the wire. It is 4th down, and I want to say 11. Yeah, 4th and 11, 31 seconds left in the game. And this is exactly what you want if you are a football fan, if you're at the NFL, if you're a team competing for a shot to play in the NFC Championship game. You want a last-minute play that is going to determine your season. This is peak entertainment right here. But the 4th down play was kind of like not that great. I'll say Matthew Stafford drops back. He's looking for Bukanagui on the right side of the field, and he just like sails the ball out of bounds. I think he got away from him because of the snow, but like, yeah, Bukanagui, if he was 9 feet tall, maybe he could have got it. I don't know if he ran the wrong route, but like, it's basically an uncatchable ball. And yeah, obviously the Eagles win after that, but a great game, a great game. And yeah, I think the key things in this game for the Rams were obviously the fumbles, and then the 2 Saquon Barkley rushes. They were able to win off of Saquon Barkley's back, essentially. Jalen Hurts also picking up a touchdown with his legs, but the passing game wasn't there for the Eagles. They didn't really need to do a lot of passing in the snow game. The Rams, on the other hand, they did a lot of passing, and they were pretty successful at it, especially towards the end of the game. But the 2 fumbles and the 2 big Saquon runs were their nemesis in this game. As far as the Eagles, I will say it's a little bit concerning their inability to turn those fumbles into points. They did not do a great job of turning those turnovers into like actual touchdowns, and they went 0 of 2 in the red zone in this game. So there's a little bit there that needs work. But aside from that, defense did really well until the end, and obviously offensive line, they did let Jalen Hurts get sacked 7 times. Jared Verse was a beast in this game, but Saquon, the O-line did a great job creating holes for Saquon, and he is dominating. He has a chance to get the most total yards in a season by running back. Something like that. I forget what exactly it was. But if he gets like 150 yards next week, or between next week and the Super Bowl, then he breaks some record. And yeah, now we can move into our last matchup of the weekend. This was the game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. I think the matchup that everyone was looking forward to, the most enticing one on the menu. Who's gonna go to Arrowhead and take on the Chiefs this year? Both teams pretty much fall to Patrick Mahomes in every year. So who's gonna finally have the chance to topple him? You've got the 2 leading MVP vote getters, conversational pieces in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson going toe-to-toe. And in this game, the Buffalo Bills were the ones to climb out on top with a final score of 27-25. And this game was entertaining. It was definitely entertaining until the last couple minutes. You've got Lamar Jackson going 18 of 25 for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. You've got Derrick Henry with 16 carries for 84 yards and a touchdown. And you've got Isaiah Likely with 4 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown. As for the Bills, you have Josh Allen with 16 of 22 passing yards. James Cook with 17 carries for 67 yards. And Khalil Shakir with 6 catches for 67 yards. Now, once again, this is a game in which the team with the most yards was not the one that won. Baltimore with 416 total yards to Buffalo's 273. But the reason why the Baltimore Ravens would lose this game really comes down to their 3 turnovers and a very big drop by Mark Andrews. And to get a full scope of this game, we should go through the play-by-play. You've got opening drive touchdowns by both teams. Baltimore receives the first half kickoff. They go down the field and score the ball on a Isaiah Likely touchdown pass. Then you've got the Buffalo Bills taking over, marching down the field, and they get their touchdown on a Ray Davis run. Then 2 plays into the third drive of this game, you have the Ravens getting ready to respond, and Lamar Jackson throws a pick, and not like an ordinary pick. This was a bad one, one where I don't know who he was throwing to, but in my recollection, there was not a Ravens player in a 5-yard vicinity of this ball. It was literally just thrown up the right sideline, and one of the Bills defenders tracked it and caught it, but I didn't see a Ravens player even on my screen. It looked like he was throwing to the other team, in fact. So a really bad interception there. Kind of kills any momentum for them. The Ravens don't really suffer from it, though, as they're able to force a punt from Buffalo. They get the ball back, and another big, costly turnover for the Ravens. This time it's Lamar. He is dancing around in the pocket. He fumbles a bad snap. Snap was a little bit, I want to say, too low, so he has to readjust. He gets it. He's dancing around in the pocket, and the ball just gets taken from him. Not even taken. He kind of just drops it. He's getting tangled, and the ball just falls out of his hands. And then the Bills set up with great field positioning, and they were able to score another touchdown in this game and take the lead 14-7 over the Ravens. Ravens come back out, and they're able to score a field goal, make it a 14-10 game. But then the Bills, they get the ball. They waste the entire rest of the clock. Josh Allen runs it in for a touchdown with 16 seconds left to take a 21-10 lead over the Ravens heading into the halftime. Coming out of the half, the Bills, they are kind of not as good to start the second half. They get a 3-and-out on their first possession. The Ravens, then they're able to put together a drive that results in a field goal. And then garbage trucks. Anyway, yeah, the Ravens, they're able to put together a drive that results in a field goal to make it a 13-21 game. Now it's one possession, and the Bills, they get the ball back, but on their second possession of the second half, they're still not able to do anything. They hold the ball for 4 minutes and 26 seconds, but they only move 18 yards, and so they have to punt. And so the Ravens get the ball back, and at this time, they're able to go down the field and score a touchdown. So now, all of a sudden, it's a 19-21 game. It's back to being anyone's game with a whole quarter left of action. Very obviously, the Ravens go for 2 in this situation, and they're not able to convert. Lamar Jackson is trying to target Isaiah Likely, and it just doesn't work out. So the Ravens find themselves down 2 to the Bills. Bills understanding what needs to happen here. They need to finally have a good drive, or this game might get away from them. They haven't scored in this half. The entire third quarter went by, and they had 20 yards. So they were able to score a field goal and make this a 24-19 game. And Baltimore gets the ball back. You've got them driving down the field. Lamar completes a once again, they hold on to the ball. They're trying their best to run out the clock. They can't score a touchdown, but they do tack on another field goal once again. So that makes a 27-19 game. So it's still one score, and the Ravens only have 3.5 minutes to work with. So the Ravens take over. They go from their own 12-yard line all the way down into the red zone. You've got Lamar Jackson completing a 24-yard pass to Isaiah Likely for a touchdown. Oh, wait. Oh, the first touchdown of the game was to Rashad Bateman. It was not to Isaiah Likely. My bad, guys. Anywho. Yeah, and then, now it's 25-27. There's a minute and a half left in the game. You're gonna go for two, trying to have this game. The Ravens run a play where you've got Lamar running to his right. Mark Andrews is wide open. Lamar throws him the ball like Mark Andrews is running basically parallel and into the end zone, and he just drops it like flat out, easy bucket pass. It's in his hands and he just can't secure it, and he drops it, and essentially costs them the game. And the Bills, after that, they just run out the clock, and they win it. And yeah, if you're the Ravens, this game, you almost had it, and it's not even like the Bills beat you. The Bills did not play that great of football. I was very surprised that the Bills were leading at halftime, because I feel like the Bills typically play their best football in the second half, and you managed to limit them to just 6 points in the second half. But the reason why they were able to get a 21-10 lead over you is because of early turnovers. Lamar in the first half, I'd say it was more on him, and in the second half, it's Mark Andrews. These are the two guys that really kept them from winning the game. I mean, I'm not going to say that, like, they didn't have good plays. Honestly, probably the most important feature of this game was the Rashad Bateman grab that set the Ravens up for, like, 1st and goal from the 2, and the Bills limiting the Ravens to just 3 points on that drive. That was huge. That really defined the game. When Buffalo's defense, in a season where, like, they have not gotten much respect, they have not been very good, they stood tall when it mattered most. So I will say that, like, turnovers and drops aside, that probably is the play that Baltimore should look back at and think, what could we have done differently? And obviously, yeah, everyone's going to talk about Mark Andrews' drop because it was the last thing that happened, and the Mark Andrews fumble because it was in the 4th quarter. And yeah, the Bills not playing. I mean, this game kind of turned out how I thought it would. You have the Ravens just making more mistakes, and the Bills executing. The Bills not playing a fantastic game of football, but they did just well enough, and they did not have any really big unforced errors. They just did what they needed to do. The Ravens, on the other hand, an interception, like a really bad interception, and 2 fumbles. So obviously the more talented team, the one with 9 Pro Bowlers, 8 Pro Bowlers, 6 All-Pro players, they're not able to get the best of Josh Allen and this Bills team. So you have Josh Allen heading to yet another AFC Championship game to take on the Chiefs. And yeah, that concludes all of the action from this past weekend's divisional round of football. Let me know what you thought of these games. I was wildly entertained. I think that, like, the Texans-Chiefs game was a little bit baffling and infuriating in ways that it's not usually. It's not that I don't enjoy watching the Chiefs win football games. I don't always pick them to win, and I do root against them from time to time. But this one, I will say, was like, they kind of were the team that everyone describes them to be. So I hope they don't win their future matchups like that. I hope they just play well. And then the Commanders game was ever so exciting, and one of the biggest upsets in recent history. In my memory, I haven't seen one that really shocked me to my core like that. I think the last last one probably would have been the Titans win over the Ravens when the Ravens were at 1 seed back in Lamar Jackson's first year as the starter when he won the MVP. That year was crazy. And this year, yeah, I'd have to say this Washington one even crazier because Jaden Daniels is like a true rookie, and they were 4-13 last year. And then, Rams Eagles game, phenomenal finish. Saquon Barkley with great plays down to the wire, and this last game down to the wire, very enticing until the very end. And you have the two MVP candidates going toe to toe with each other. And it makes for a very cool set of matchups. Next week, we've got the Chiefs and the Bills. Josh Allen, I want to say it's like 4-1 against Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. He has his number in the regular season. But Mahomes is 3-0 against Josh Allen in the postseason. So we'll see. This is finally the years that the Bills are able to drop the Chiefs. And then you have the Commanders and the Eagles who play in the same division. They traded a game each this season with what do you call it? The Eagles took the first game and then the Commanders took the second game, but Jalen Hurts did not play in that second game for a majority of it. It was Kenny Pickett, so we'll see what happens. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoy content like this, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be putting out more videos as the weeks progress. And yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you